Hey guys, today I'm going to be walking you guys through making simple key fobs such as this one. I have three here. One with the mighty mustached lion has a logo, and another one with just a simpler logo. This is actually the one that I use, so it's it looks a little bit rough, but that's something that I really like, the patina that it gets. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and if you guys want the template for you to make one of these, just go to my Facebook page or Instagram page, send me a message, and I'll happily send you the template via email or whatever. I'll leave the links in the description below. Thanks. This is the template that I use. I just drew this in Illustrator. It's a real simple one. I then printed it full scale on just a regular piece of paper, and I had some plastic laying around. I don't know what thickness it is really, but I just glued it on and with an X-Acto knife cut it off, sanded it so it wasn't a bit rough on the edges. I marked these 4 little holes so that on the back you know where to put the glue, and that's basically it. So this is a template that you'll be getting if you're interested. Please leave a like and follow my Facebook and Instagram, of course, if you want. And that's just a little bit of leather that'll make our key fob. Now dyeing the leather, so that you don't get too messy, just throw an old shopping bag on a workshop, the piece of leather, throw on a pair of gloves, because the dye that I use, Feelings Pro Oil dye, if you get it on your hands, it will stay there for like a week, no matter how many times you wash your hands. So it's always better if you use gloves. I'll be using one of my favorite colors, which is walnut. I save it on this little jar. And a useful tip that I learned from Ian Atkinson, as I mentioned before, and a lot of comments to my other videos. I save the wool dauber so I don't have to keep using new ones all the time. So first, you get a nice scrap of leather so you can wipe off the excess dye. You dip the wool dauber in the dye. Try to get rid of most of the excess. Then let's get this out of the way so we don't get any accidents. And then Just get rid of the excess, get rid of hairs or stuff that might get stuck onto the leather, and just circular motions. Try not to stop. Jesus, and try not to be as messy as I am being, and try to be consistent with your strokes so you don't get blotches and curvy lines. The more dye you put onto the leather, the darker it'll be. So for now I'm happy with this, so I'll just let it dry. Usually for a piece of leather this size, it dries fairly quickly. Like in about 10 minutes I'll be able to go to the next step. Because this will be folded over, the flesh side of the leather doesn't mind if you get it all dirty. So now we'll just leave it to dry. So now that some time has passed, the leather is obviously dry, but there's excess pigment from the dye. So what you need to do is just grab an old t-shirt, a cotton one, and just buff it out. Basically buff the leather by rubbing it, and the friction, besides getting rid of the excess pigment, will give a nice shine to it. The leather has a few scars and stuff, but it's something that I don't mind. I find it quite nice, a natural look. So you can already see the difference. The leather was kind of matte, and now it is shiny. So now the next step, you have to apply some Konobo cream. I have it in this little bottle because the other one is too big. And the trick to applying Konobo cream is you have to apply it quickly and try to get even coverage really quickly so that you don't get any darker spots. So just like that. And once again, this will actually darken your leather, but it's for a good cause, because it protects your leather from the elements. It's not supposed to be used with something that it's going to get a lot of outside time, because key fob is going to mainly be in your pocket along with your keys. I think this is appropriate. Plus, it smells really good. So now you just let it dry for like 2 minutes, and you'll just repeat the process of buffing it out and giving it a nice shine. Now that Konobo cream has dried and we buffed it out, as you can see, it's a little bit darker, shinier. It's beautiful and it smells really good. We're going to get our template and we're going to trace it. Obviously we'll try to choose the best part of the leather, and I'll use this clean one for the front and the other part for the back. Just hold it steady like that and try not to move it while you use an awl to mark the leather. It can be a little tricky, but with time it'll get easier and easier. I try to mark it really hard because then when you use an X-Acto knife, it's easier to cut. Since I don't have a punching press, I cut all my items by hand. So I try to make this step as easy as possible for me. And there you go. Get a little mark there, but that's not a problem at all. So now you have your template passed onto the leather. Well, now that we got the template traced on the leather, we'll use a sharp X-Acto knife to cut it out. So let's do it. Try to be as steady as possible and follow the line you marked. I'm actually having a little trouble because I'm covering the light, but it's nothing that we can't fix later with a bit of sandpaper. If you manage to cut it all with one pass, great. If not, just do a once over and it'll be done. As I said, the harder you trace your template, the easier it is to cut it. So as you can see, I'm doing very little effort to cut it. But you have to be particularly careful when cutting this round corner, not corners, but cutting the round edges. So, no, it's clearly not cut yet, so we just do a once over. You can go faster this time because you already have the markings. Try to keep the blade at a 45-degree angle so you don't get crooked cuts. And there you have it. Sorry, I guess I was out of frame a little bit, but there you have it. It's cut and ready to go to the next stage. So now I've set up my arbor press. It's half a ton. You don't need, at least for my needs, it's perfectly fine. I have a couple of options regarding my logo. Here you have just the louraleather logo, and here you have the one with the lion, the mustache lion, which is the one that I'm going to use because it's my favorite. And now you just have to make sure you get it centered. I'm using this base plate instead of the one that came with the arbor press, because the one that came with the arbor press, it's too small. So this is just a regular chopping board from IKEA. So you try and center it as accurately as possible. Check it by eye. Make sure it's in the right place. Try not to shake your hands while you do it. There, I guess it's centered enough for demonstration purposes. And then slowly just pull down the lever and since my arbor press is not fixed to the table, it's not attached to the table, I have to use my hand so it won't fly out of the workbench. You press it, then move it around so you get an even stamp. You don't really need to apply that much force, but I just like to make sure it gets engraved well. I'm doing this cold. The stamp is cold right now, but in a moment I'll use a hair dryer to heat the stamp a little bit. As you can see, it's already pretty well stamped, but I'll get a cheap blow dryer. And because the stamp is made out of magnesium, it gets hot really quickly. So just repeat the whole process. It's not that hard. Doing it while trying to film it, that is kind of hard. And done, I hope. So, louraleather logo, stamped, crisp, ready to go to the next phase. So now we're going to mark using the template again. As I mentioned before, these 4 holes, it is now that they come in handy. We'll just try and align it as best as we can. And with an awl, just mark it lightly so that we can, I can perfectly see the marks here. I'll just take a ruler and then, trying not to mess it up, I'll mark 2 lines with a pencil. And from the lines down is where you'll apply the glue. So then you can fold it and glue it, obviously with keyring here. Because once we glue this and get our keyring here in the middle, we won't be able to finish these edges from here to here, basically. So we'll do that now. We'll get an edge beveler. This is a Craft Tool Pro Fine, and we will bevel the edge here and here. Try not to be very rough on the leather so you don't scratch it, and just eyeing it, try to bevel it here. Yeah, that looks fine. Again. And then you get an earbud or a, I can't remember what it's called in English, but anyway, you wet it a little bit, you dampen the leather, try not to soak it so that you don't get stains, and with a burnisher just burnish the edge lightly. Don't apply too much pressure or you'll ruin the edge. And try to get it shiny and smooth. If you hear a little whine, it's my new puppy crying for attention. And you do that on the other side. Burnish it again. It's the friction that burnishes the leather. It doesn't take long, actually. Just making sure there are no bumps. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see on camera, I can't focus it. Nope. But anyway, it's slick, it's smooth, it's burnished. And now you get, once again, your walnut dye. And you can use the same cotton swab. Dip it in the dye. Dip it in the dye, try to get rid of the excess. Get it away so you don't ruin your work, and apply the dye on the edge that you just burnished. Go for the other side. And you should end up with something like this. Now I'll cut, just to wait for this to dry. It'll take about 2 minutes, so it's really quickly, and then we'll move over to the next step. So now that this is dried, we'll get some gum tragacanth, which, as far as I know, is a plant extract or something. This is a little empty, so we'll have to see what we can get out of it. I have a new one, but we won't use too much, so that's enough. And then you get your burnisher, and you can use your finger, just rub it in a little bit on the edge that you painted. Grab your burnisher, and then this will be the final burnishing. This really gets a really good shine and even smoother finish to the edge. much better than just using water, especially after you've dyed it. Of course, you have to do something to it so it doesn't get it doesn't get an unfinished look. Again, the same thing to the other side. Burnish it. And with gum tragacanth, you don't really have to wait for it to dry. It sort of dries as you burnish it, actually. And once you start to hear a little squeaking, that's a good sign that, that's a sign that it's well and burnished. So we've finished the edges that we won't be able to reach once we glue this up. So on to the next phase. So now we're going to apply glue to these two parts below the lines that we've marked. We have our key ring here, just a regular one. Let me check. It's 1.5 centimeters and 1 inch. And because you want the glue to adhere properly, you have to rough the leather up a bit so it will adhere easily. You could also use sandpaper, but this is what I have at hand, so I'm using this. You don't need to go overboard with it. It's just to loosen up the fibers of the leather. And then you get your glue. The glue that I use is Tanner's Bond contact cement from Tandy. It's really good. I recommend it. It stinks, but it's a good glue, and it lasts a long time, at least for me. So you apply it below the line that you've marked. Don't be afraid to mess up your workspace because this is contact glue. Once it dries, it's like rubber. You can easily wipe it off. And this is this black leather bit that I have here. I made this. It's just 2 pieces of black leather with a scrap of leather in between, just to protect my pieces from scratching and damaging them before they're finished. And you leave that to dry for I don't know, until actually I do know, it has to be tacky, not wet but tacky. Once it's tacky, you can go on and glue it. So now that it's dry, you can feel it's kind of tacky. It won't glue to your fingers, but once they get stuck together, it will be really difficult to take them apart. So now we're going to get the key ring here. We'll have to fold the leather a bit. Try not to wrinkle it too much. So that's why I'm folding the part where it has no logo on it, and then carefully try to line it as best as you can, so the boring part, which is sanding, won't be as boring. Try to line it. Yeah, that seems to be good. So now you can see what I was talking about finishing these edges, because obviously now with the key ring you won't be able to do that. So now that the key ring is set and the two parts are glued together, you just press it down a bit, and again wait for it to dry for about, I don't know, 5 minutes, and it'll be fine to go on to the next step. So now that we've allowed this to dry, we're going to sand this so we get the edges flush. I usually go through 3 grits of sandpaper. I start off with 100 grit, so let's do this. It's quite messy, so expect a lot of dust. With the rough part, you can be, as I said, pretty rough, so you get most of it flush. And then with the other 2 grits, it's just some finishing touches. You do a little check just to see that it's getting nice and round and getting a good shape. You don't want it crooked. Sorry if I'm shaking the camera. Now you can switch sides because this one is already used. Try not to sand the finished edges. So now that we've rough sanded it a bit, we can mark a stitching line, and I'll get the video here so I can get a closer shot so that you can see what I'm doing. Now we're going to use the wing dividers to mark a stitching line. I usually set this apart 4 millimeters. I don't know I don't know what that is in inches, but just Google it. And we'll mark the stitching line. Do it carefully so it doesn't slip and you'll ruin your key fob by scoring a line where there isn't supposed to be a line. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It may look crooked, but trust me, once you start stitching, you won't be able to notice it. And then the other side, just for reference, for when you want to punch it to start the stitching. And that's it. So now we're going to punch the holes for stitching with a pricking iron. These ones are craft tool pricking irons from Tandy with the heads, removable heads. This is 4 stitches per inch, I guess. I'm not sure. and we'll get started. This is a little bit tricky with the camera, but I'll try to get it right. You don't have to punch it all the way through. You can just tap it, make a starting hole, and then with your stitching awl, you can you then can punch it all the way through. And now we're going to use the smaller bit just to mark it around the corner, because obviously you can't punch with the other one. And again, just punch it. I don't have a maul, so I just use this rubber mallet sideways. Now we can take this one off and get this one on again. And finish. Try to finish parallel with the other hole. As you can see, I didn't punch all the way through, but now you have starting holes, so you can do your stitching with your thread of choice, which we'll do next. I have a few thread colors available. White, like a pearl white, black, dark brown, gray, pink, yellow. This one is sort of a beige. It's called Havana. Red, dark green. I think this is a light gray, and this one's called pea green. I'm going to go with the dark green because it's the one that I like the most. And to measure the amount of thread that you're going to need, you have to measure 4 times the stitching line. That being, you take the thread and sort of go all around it. And say, for instance, this is the distance from this hole to this hole, and you double it by 4. Double it by 4, no, you just make 4 strands the same length. And then I always try to give myself some extra, because I like to be better safe than sorry. Then you get 2 needles, and you thread the needle. Sorry, you thread the needle. Like so. and then the other one. It's really hard to thread a needle and try to film it at the same time and try to keep it focused. So you just stab it through the thread, pull it all the way down, and then pull the needle so it goes through, and it does sort of a loop, and then you just pull on it and it stays there, and you have it ready to start stitching. Now, stitching the key fob. Obviously I've got my stitching pony, and I use a clamp. I used to have a screw here, but it sucked, so I just use a regular spring clamp. You just take your key fob, hold it in place. Some people tell you to just prick once and then stitch, but I like to prick it all the way through to the other side all at once. And I'm doing this from this side so that you can see what I'm doing, but I'll switch to the other side in just a second so you can also see what I'm doing from the other side. So what I'm doing is poking from one side and making sure that it all comes out through the line that we previously marked, so that it's all aligned. Just making sure my head isn't in the way. There. Now, the holes are poked all the way through, and now we can start stitching. First, I like to do a loop. You center your thread like so, and do a loop. I'm not the best teacher when it comes to stitching, so I'll leave a link in the description below to Nigel Armitage's channel, which was where I learned how to saddle stitch, but I'll try to explain you as best as I can what I'm doing. So now I've stitched a loop, as you can see, so it gets tight and secure. I'll show you to you. Back to the stitching pony. Then you just stick one needle from the front side, and then the left hand needle goes in the front. At least that's how I do it. You stick it back from this side and loop the thread around the needle so that every stitch that you make, it ties a knot. And then once again, loop around the needle, pull it tight. Right hand needle goes through, left hand needle goes in the front. Try not to poke through the thread. Then you can speed it up. Once you get the hang of it, it'll become easier and easier, and you'll be able to do this faster and faster and more efficiently. I'll finish this line of stitching, and then I guess we can skip the rest of the stitching, and I'll just show it to you when it's all stitched up. Done. Now that this is all stitched up, as you can see, I did my best with the camera in the way, and this is the back stitching. Usually it doesn't look as good as the front, but I can honestly say modestly that this came out pretty well. So now all we have to do is sand again to get this even more flush, more round. So I'll start again with the 100 grit sandpaper, trying not to hit the loop thread. Always sand in one direction so that the fibers stay nice and flat. This is the trickiest part because you're sanding into the thread, and you don't want to sand it to the point that you break the loop and ruin the key fob. And try to hold the key fob gently so you don't bend it and get creases that you don't want it to have. Again, be careful with the loop. Do a once over with your finger. Check that it's all nice and round. There's a high spot over there. Just get rid of it. And there you have it. It may look not really round, but that's because the edges are all pushed up because of the sanding. But that'll be taken care of once we bevel it, which will be the next step. So now we're going to bevel the edges using a number 2 beveler or edger. And we'll start from the loop, trying again not to cut it. You can get slow and steady. It actually helps to have this pad underneath because you can roll with it. I'm trying to be as careful as I can, trying not to knock the tripod off the camera. And then when you reach the loop upwards, you just do a little upwards motion, and then that's it. Then you do the same on the other side. As you can see, we're getting rid of all of the ugly edges that we made while sanding. And the number of the beveler that you use depends on the thickness of the leather. I usually prefer to use a number 2 beveler because it gets a rounder finish to the edge, and I personally think it looks better this way. And now what we have to do is, just like we did with these edges, is moisten these edges, burnish them, paint them, and then using the gum track again, finish them. So let's do that. Let's get this wet. And wet the edges. You don't have to wet the edges all at once. You can go by pieces. So let's just finish this little piece first. And you can choose the groove as you feel which one is the best. I usually start with the big one to get it smooth on the top, and then with a smaller one to flatten the edges here. And again, once you start to hear this noise and it starts to get shiny, as you can see, it means that it's getting burnished, and it's a good result. Maybe a little bit of more water. Now for the rounded parts. Smaller slots. The faster you go, the harder the friction gets, so the easier it burnishes. I've been thinking of buying a Dremel with the burnisher attachment to speed up the process, so I might do that so I can get this done faster. And it's not really easy on the back, and even though I'm 29 years old, I have the back of an 80-year-old, unfortunately. So we're almost done with the wet burnishing. I'm trying to go through all the steps just so you guys get a better understanding of all the steps and processes. I'm not sure if I'm going to do an instructional PDF. Maybe me talking is instructional enough. I don't know. Maybe I will. Now I'm just using the tip of the burnisher to smooth again the edges. Now you feel it with your finger if it's smooth and burnished, and I can see that it is. I can feel that it is, and now we're ready to paint it. So now, once again, you get your walnut, you get your scrap of leather, get rid of the excess, and paint the edges. Be careful not to paint, even though it's a dark green. Try not to paint the loop thread. This one's really easy. Just sorry. You have to make sure I'm getting all the edges nicely and staying in frame. Once you feel that there's not much dye in the cotton swab in the earbud, dip it again and go all the way around, then the other side. And we're almost done. Just trying to get that little spot over there. Get a quick look around, make sure everything is painted, and that's it. And then we'll just hang this and leave it to dry for a few minutes. Then we'll be back again to burnish it with the gum trag. Now that we got our edges dried, we can go ahead and use the gum trag and burnish, and that's it. The final step, just apply it with your finger like so. Get your burnisher and repeat the process just like before. There's really not much to it. Wait for it to make the sound, the delicious sound of it squeaking, meaning that it is getting nice, soft, smooth, and shiny. As you can see, run your finger along and you can feel it. A little bit more gum trag to go around the corners. Let me just get rid of this. You see the difference? This is one side, this is the other side. Now we can go and finish it all the way. A little bit more. And that's it. We now have a finished key fob, keychain, whatever you want to call it. It is done. I hope you guys liked it. I hope my instructions were clear enough, even though I stumbled a few times. And that's it. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys liked my tutorial, my how-to, or whatever you want to call it. If you did, please leave a like below and subscribe. I'll try to upload more videos of me doing other projects. If you have suggestions, please just leave it on in the comments below. I will be giving this key fob away. I'll post a photo of it on my Facebook page, Facebook.com/louraleather, and on my Instagram, louraleather. All you have to do to enter the contest and have the chance to win it is like my Facebook page and comment on a photo, #IWantAKeyFob. Or if you decide to go with Instagram, follow me on Instagram, and then comment on the photo, I want the key fob. And after a week or so, I'll try to do sort of a wrap thingy, and the winner will get it. I'll send it wherever I have to. So that's it. I'll also try to make a PDF available with more detailed instructions on how to make this, which will include the template, obviously, and that anyone can get for free if you want. Just contact me. I'll leave my Facebook, Instagram, email on the description below. In the description below, and that's it. I hope you guys liked it. And here it is, the final product. A dark brown with dark green thread. So that's it. Thanks, guys.